Oh, hey guys, how's it going? Kylo Matlock here with Selkirk Marine and Raider Boats. We're out here on the beautiful Columbia River in a Raider 280 Offshore. So I want to introduce the boat and myself. I'm going to give you a walkthrough of this boat after I get done breaking it in. So I'll see you there. Hey Justin, where are you at?
Come back here, you guys are straight up left me.
He's whining because we left him. All right, we'll see you there.
Daydream, I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream, I dream of you amid the flowers for a couple of hours. Such a beautiful day.
So I'm going to do a walk around of the bow, then we'll hop to the back, and then we'll do the inside. Starting up here on the front, there's the 4 lights that I told you guys about. So there's 2 spots and 2 floods. There's 1 per side, and there is 2 separate switches inside to turn them on. So depending on what beam of light you're looking for, you've got both options. You've got your anchor lift tilt roller there. So whenever you suck your anchor up inside of it, it tilts up. Whenever you let it out, it kind of drops it to get it down away from the boat. Works super well. There's also a cleat right there to tie it off to. This is your windlass winch right here on top of your anchor box. And so there is a door for each side. And then underneath of that winch, there is a hole that's drilled so that that winch will naturally coil up all the road down inside of the box here. Whenever we do like a Easy 5 drum winch, they'll just be kind of the same shape, but a 1/4 inch plate that's also welded on top of here. And then your drum winch sits right on top of it. We've got the Lumar hatch here. There is a setting where you can kind of lock it to where it's just barely open to get some airflow, or you can fully seal it, or it does have kind of a hydraulic deal there where it'll stay open if you really want some airflow. That black puck there is your GPS puck. All the screens do have GPS built into them, but we do that for redundancy. Redundancy is key whenever you're in the ocean, hence the dual engines, the dual fuel filters, you know, all that jazz. Here's your radar arch. It does have the radar mounted on top here. This is a Phantom, so they only make the Phantom in black as far as I know. And so we got black Phantom there, both Morad antennas, 1 per side. And so that is because, again, redundancy, there's 2 VHFs in the boat. 1 at the second station, 1 at the front helm. Couple different benefits. You can monitor multiple channels, or, you know, like I said, if one quits for some reason, then you can use the other one. So that's about all I've got up here on the bow. So now we'll hop to the back and I'll show you what that's about. Hey guys, we're in the back deck now. So these are the extended 4-position downrigger pads that I was telling you about. On each one, we've got a Burnowin GM 650 mounted in it. And then inside of that, there's also the UM 6080, which stands for Universal Mount. And then these plates here are the SC 1036s, which stands for Scotty. And then you mount your downrigger right to that plate. So whenever you want to remove your downrigger, you just unclip it right out of there. You can move it to this one, swap it, completely remove them, however you want to configure your boat. So it's a pretty great system. We've got some 5710 rod holders here. There is also GM 650s flush mounted in the gunnel right here on the diamond plate step. There's another one on that side, so both sides match. Also on the back of the tackle station here, there is 5 more rod holders. And so then there's also the starboard piece that we cut out on our CNC table. So these little holes here will hold hooks for leaders. There's plier and or knife slots there, holes on the other side, so that kind of makes that a nice usable handy surface. Here's the inside of the bait tank that I was talking about, so you can kind of see the jet rail in the corner. And then the rounded edges. Here's the baffle so the water doesn't slash back and forth. Those are in there. Here's your plier holders. It slides right down in there. Those work pretty well. show you how these work. Obviously this isn't completely on a leader, but you can kind of get the gist of how it works. Just set your hook in there and you can hang whatever you want right off the edge. These little drawers here do also work really well for like used leaders and gear. I know John in the past has thrown them in here and then soaked them up with like lemon joy and then sprays them off so they can kind of soak in there, get all the salt off of them. Inside of here, that valve there is the drain for your bait tank. So when that's open and you flip it to drain, it'll drain out the back. When you're moored or not using it, you can shut that. Totally locks off any water intrusion from your boat. Got your battery switch here with both switches. So one controls the house side, one controls the engine side. Here's your speakers. There's one there, another one flush mounted over here. The welded washdown fitting, that is new to 2025, so it's no longer a plastic coupler. Standard on our offshores is 2 engine house batteries, or 2 engine batteries and 1 house battery. This customer had us add a second house battery, so now he's got 2 house and 2 engine. And so those are mounted in their battery trays right inside of there. You can see that welded manifold system that we talk about all the time, kind of hiding down there under the shelf. This is what we call the accessory cutting board. So we can do this on just a standard transom that's just got your fish box. We can add it to it. It comes standard whenever you do a bait tank. Just gets you a nice little spot there to cut your fillets out. I like to gut the fish right here because then you can spray everything off and there's not these lips. The lips are nice for, you know, your knives and lures and stuff not sliding off. But if you're wanting to get it off the back of the boat, it is nice that that is open on that side. Here's your nice big snacky snack board. The flush mounted burner ones I was talking about. Another one, if you guys haven't seen all of our videos, you might not have seen the 2 fuel caps. So on all offshores we do this. You might ask why there's 2 fuel fills. Well, part of that is, I want to say new regulations, but they've been out for a while. There's pressure release regulations from the EPA for what kind of pressure, you know, you have to have in your fuel tank. And I think it's like 1 PSI before these will actually vent. And so sometimes that can create problems whenever you're filling your boat. If you're on full blast, sometimes it'll squirt back out at you. So you just open them both and the other one's just a vent. You can fill it through either hole, whichever one you want to. The other one just becomes a vent, whichever one you're not putting gas inside of. So that's a pretty cool feature there. You've got your full rod arch up here. So that looks pretty sweet. You can either do 8, which is 4 per side. You can do 12, which you got here. Or you can do 15, which just scoots those closer and adds 3 more. Your dual lights I told you about. Slider door. Check out this tackle box system that I was talking to you guys about. I'll show you the inside of it. So this opens up and you've got spots to hang lures from there. You can put knives or pliers in there, and then the nose of them will stick down in there. These are actually built for knives, so there's these little slots on the top right here, and so knives slide down inside of there. Here's your drawer system. So you've got 5 different drawers you can fill with stuff there. On this side right here, this is where your line goes, and so your spool will just spin on there. All you do is spin this, pop that off, pop your spool on, put that back on there and close it. And then those are to put Plano boxes inside of. So those are built to the exact specifications of Plano boxes that you can buy, and then they just slide right inside of there. All right, should we check out the inside? Starting on the floor, you can see the beautiful LVP flooring. So this is a completely welded interior. So that's 190 plate, all welded down. And then all the seat boxes are welded down on top of it. And then we lay high end, it's Cascade flooring. So It's high-end home flooring. It's water and impact resistant. And then we silicone the edges of it. You can get that in the gray that you see, or kind of a brown color. You can also see the black upholstery. So that's the black custom upholstery upgrade with diamond stitching in it. You can get that in brown as well. So some people that want brown interior, they'll do the brown seats and the brown flooring. Both of them look fantastic. Here's our foot locker that was new in the past year and a half or so. So that works great for downrigger balls and stuff, or whatever you want to put in there. And then you've got storage on both sides of the seat. You can see I filled that one with all of my junk. You can either put it inside through there, or the seat bottoms just come right off too. So those just lift off, and then the seat backs come off as well. This is the standing configuration, and so you've got the S5s on top of here. So you can stand at them and run like this, or you can flip down the bolster here, and that allows you to actually sit down at it, and then you can rest your feet kind of on the box like so. These do slide forward and backward. They also swivel. So if people are sitting on the back, you know, fishing, doing whatever, you can come sit right here, pay attention to what's going on in the back of the boat, talk to guys out there. Or if you're out by yourself and you just want to watch your poles, this creates a pretty comfortable spot to sit. So however you want to do it, it's a great system. Inside of here is your in-floor storage. So that is on kind of a gas shock there, so that'll stay open all by itself. Fully carpeted, so it's a very nice spot. Lots of space to put stuff. You've got storage under both seat boxes that is also fully carpeted. We carpet out all the insides of everything so that anything you put in there doesn't rattle against the sides of it. It keeps the noise down, and it just makes it look much nicer. It's a much nicer finish. Here's the front speakers mounted in the dash right there. This is your diesel heater module, and so you've got your controller here, fuel gauge there. It is the 5-gallon welded fuel tank that's down under the floor. The fill is on the side of the boat right out here, so whenever you pull up to the pump, fill up your diesel, scoot your truck forward a little bit, fill up your gas, both on the same side. Makes it seamless to fill up your boat. You've got your vents up top here, so there is one on that side. There's another one right over here, and so you can see that they fully swivel and then tilt however you like them. Over here at the helm seat, you've got your two 1243s here, and then this is usually where we would mount the Reactor 40 GHC50. This is the same size screen, but it's actually called a TD50. So it's a little bit different. The GHC is the computer for the autopilot, but you can also get it GHC50-less, if you will. And so then it just runs off your Garmin screen. So this is basically like a data screen, if you will. You can still access all the same stuff that you can on these screens. And it just runs off of these ones. So you've still got, you know, your charts. You can still go to sonar. We like to use it a lot for, like, you can put your gauges on this one, so you can go and like watch all of your engine gauges there, and then you could have radar and sonar up here, just so that it's not taking up your big screens. However you want to do it. This just makes it a little bit, you get more information for your buck, right? Takes up the same amount of space, but you can access a lot more with the TD50. This is the fuel gauge for the boat. The way that the tanks are shaped, though, you know, kind of like your car, when you fill it up, it might be on full for 3 days, it seems like. And then once it gets to half, it's just drained in a half a day. This, to an extent, does the same thing. If it says you have a half, you really might have like a third, just because the way the tank is shaped. So that's more just for redundancy. I always run fuel flow off of my screens, because this pulls data directly from the engines for fuel burn. And so if you can set the amount of fuel that you put in your boat. So as long as you're diligent about that, and every time you go to the gas station, you put to the decibel how much gas you put in there, it will be exact with how much gas is inside of your boat. The only kicker, if you will, is when you're using your kicker, this doesn't pull data from the kicker. The kicker doesn't have a computer in it that allows this screen to take data from it. So if you're on your kicker all day, you might be a couple gallons off, nothing major, but keep that in mind. Here's your switch panel. So you've got both bilge switches here, manual switches to turn them on. The float's kind of in the top of it, so there might be a little bit of water down in the bottom of your bilge that you want to get out, and it hasn't kicked on yet. By float, I mean it does have a 24-hour float system. So when your boat's moored, or if you just forget to turn those on after you spray a bunch of water on the bottom of your boat, your bilges will come on automatically as long as there is batteries inside of your boat. Both wiper switches, you've got your nav lights. If you flip it up, all the navs and your anchor light come on. You can see that little strip there. That's the light indicator for your anchor light. If you flip it down, just the anchor light on the roof will come on. Both cabin light switches, you got your horn, your wash down, your fish box. That's the gulper pump for your in-floor fish box in the back of the boat. On this first accessory switch is where we have the SureFlow pump for the bait tank. So that's what turns that on. And then these other two accessories are for your bow lights. So one of them turns the spots on, one turns the floods on. And then you can see in the other accessory spot, we pulled the switch that came in it and put the anchor switch in there. So that controls your windlass. Here's your digital throttles. You've got your troll mode there. So you just kick it into gear, hold your arrow up, it'll turn the troll mode on. And then each click is 50 RPM increments. You've got your engine little control switch here, so you can start and stop the engine separately. If you're out in the ocean, most of the time, whenever I've been around it, you're always trolling with your mains a lot of the time. And so this is how you would start only one engine or stop only one and then trim them separately. Right here is the head module for the stereo package. And then in the back here is where we mounted the key switch. So got all that there. Here's your other VHF mounted overhead right here. So it makes it super easy to grab whenever you're running. You just grab your mic, talk on it when you're done. Just hang it back up there. Kind of keeps it out of sight, out of the way. The other little thing I forgot to show you when I was talking about this switch panel, all of these little black rubber deals, those are for like if you pop a breaker. That's just the breaker reset button. So if you ever, for some reason, your lights aren't working, this or that, just come check, see if the breaker popped. Sometimes if you push that button, it magically starts working again. So the other thing down there, here is the panel to control your shore power. So you've got your main breaker here. You turn that on or off. And then you've got both cabin outlets and then your battery charger. So that's how you work that system. Just make sure that when you turn that on, and then turn your battery charger on after that. If you don't turn the main breaker on, your battery charger will not work. So make sure that that is on, and then you should be good to go. Here's another update that we did, is this, we kind of call it a privacy door, but up to, I want to say 2023, 2024-ish, we would put buttons and then send you with a privacy curtain to snap in here. We started, now that we have our own router table and we do all of our own transom inserts, we started just making doors. So you can put that, shut that whenever somebody's in there or whenever you've got a bunch of gear in there you don't want to look at. You've got your pads for sleeping. And then underneath of those is your V-berth head. So that is a fully flushable marine head down inside of there. Whenever you step down inside of there, there's plenty of room. Sit down in here and go to the bathroom. And then whenever you're done, throw your stuff back over the top of it and you're good to go. The reason that we started doing the V-berth heads is because then you're not losing so much deck space with a stand-up head. I want to say you lose about 16 inches, I want to say, whenever you add a stand-up head. 16 inches of deck space, so, over a foot, which in the Pacific Northwest, and really any kind of fishing that I've been around, deck space is king. So as much deck space as you can get, So we love our short cabins with our bench seats, but when you want to go to the bathroom, it's nice to have that too. So that's why we do that one. But I think that about sums it up for this boat. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, we'll see you later.
Daydream, I fell asleep amid the flowers.